Very excited to bring you my guest today, Nick Carter. This episode is brought to you by Say. Shout out to the Say Foundation and the Say community for sponsoring this show. They've made this possible. If you want to learn more about Say, then head to the Say Foundation website. Let me look up their website. Their website, say.io. And now, on to the show. So, yeah, take me back. Take me back to the canceled fight.
Well, you remember when we met at Karate Combat in
Yeah.
Miami?
Yeah, and I said, let's take our shirt off and take a picture. And you did.
We did do that.
I did not think you would do that, honestly.
No, we did. And that was the start of my journey. Because I was like, okay, Karate Combat's dope. I'm sort of in shape. Like, maybe I can learn to fight. And then I talked to the organizers, and they're like, yeah, we want you to fight. And this was, I had about 2.5 months before consensus in Austin. I'm like, yeah, 2.5 months is enough time to learn how to fight. Of course it wasn't. Like, you can barely learn anything in that time. So I mostly just focus on the cardio and learning the basic techniques.
So you were starting from zero?
Absolute zero. The only sports I'd done, like, semi-competitively was, like, cross-country.
Cross country, okay.
I'd never thrown a punch in my life.
Because you released a video, like a hype video, and you threw maybe 1 or 2 punches in it.
My coach said I couldn't put anything in there.
I was obvious. It seemed like
so the video was just me doing like these goofy workouts in the gym.
That's what I suspected.
We didn't want to leak any alpha.
That's what I suspected. So because at the beginning it looked, because there was like one video of you in the goat shed.
Yeah.
That was like, this is not good.
That was like day one.
Okay, that was literally day one.
That was day one.
Okay.
And I didn't know how to throw a punch.
Okay.
And everybody was clowning on me. And I'm like, yeah, just wait till I get in the octagon. Just wait.
You didn't get in the octagon.
In the pit. Wait till I get in the pit.
Do you have dreams of the octagon?
I would have to learn grappling for that. I don't know any BJJ.
So yeah, so you don't know how to throw a punch. But you signed up for the fight before that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I signed up, I think, in mid-March, and the fight was, I believe, the end of June of the first fight.
And did you have an opponent in mind? How did that? What was the?
Yeah, I agreed it with David first.
Okay, you spoke to David first.
And
David Hoffman.
We had gone rock climbing together.
Okay.
So I had a good sense of his physique, and I like follow him on Strava and stuff, and so I know what his cardio is like.
You follow him on Strava, okay?
Yeah, he's actually a pretty good runner.
I have no doubt. What's his mile time?
He's
6
quick.
minutes?
Yeah, he runs like 7-minute miles. So I'm like,
okay,
this guy has the gas tank to do a fight.
Right.
Mine wasn't as good, but I thought I was like more muscular than him, and I thought I could out-train him, and I thought I had more of a dog in me as well. And so I was totally gung-ho. I was so excited to fight David. Of course, I put out the video next day, which I think is a coincidence. He does pull out on account of the broken rib, which he gets a lot of grief for that. I believe the guy. Like, I think he really did fracture his rib, and you can't fight with a broken
nobody
rib.
said he didn't.
Some people did. But yeah, look, he's fighting now. He's fighting Kane.
We'll see. Not yet.
That's announced.
TBD.
You can't pull out of 2 fights. That'd be irrecoverable.
That would be okay. So you agree to fight David. He gets signed up for the fight. He pulls out
with a week notice. So we didn't have enough time to find a suitable opponent.
That was for Texas, right?
That was Texas. I went. The fights were great. They were cool.
Rogan was there.
Yeah. There were some great fights on that card.
Yeah.
I was so sad.
Yeah, I think you were disappointed.
I cried.
Did you?
I cried when he pulled out. Yeah.
That's what she said.
Yeah. I'd never been more disappointed about anything in my life.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's...
Because it felt like all my preparation, my hard work, I had been killing myself in training. And it felt like it was for nothing. It wasn't for nothing, because then I did have another fight.
So the goal for you is really to fight?
But I thought the David matchup was great because it was a Bitcoin versus Ethereum story.
I know.
We knew each other. Not that we were going to go easy. Like, I was planning on bringing the absolute same intensity that I brought to my subsequent fight.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we were well matched. We were both starting with the exact same notice. We both had 0 fight experience. So it was a really good match.
For sure.
Crypto Twitter was excited. You know how many people flew into Austin for
I was
that?
excited.
All of crypto Twitter was a flutter about this. A lot of people really don't like David, which I don't understand. I actually really like him. But a lot of people
They get
like,
a lot of hate. They get a lot of hate.
Disproportionate amount, in my opinion. And so many people messaged me like, I can't wait to see you knock David out.
Really?
I'm like, well,
Why?
I don't have that animosity.
Okay.
It's like secondhand animosity. And it was a big letdown. In the end, I did have another fight against Coty. It wasn't the same level of narrative, though.
Well, but I was going to say, I was so excited for that fight. I think I told you this, that I was going to announce that fight.
Yeah.
I was like, Dave. I had told Dave many times before that I should announce.
LARPing.
Yeah, the Karate Combat founder, whatever. Big dude at the Karate Combat OG, running the show behind the scenes. I was like, you got to get me to announce for a long time. And I would go in a parking lot and just put on my camera and just pretend to announce whoever the main card was, like the next day or whatever, at like in Orlando or whatever. But then your fight came up, and I was like, Dave, come on, this makes too much sense.
Yeah.
I gotta be the guy. I gotta get in there and announce, like you said, Bitcoin versus Ethereum. I was like so excited for like representing Bitcoin. So excited for that. But then got canceled. But I still got to announce.
Yeah, I mean, you did that one, and you did Nashville, right?
Yeah, but Austin was the first time I ever did that.
You're like the Bruce Buffer for Karate Combat.
I wish.
I thought you did a great job.
Thank you. I mean, that was the first time I ever did that in front of Rogan.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. That was the best. That was like the opportunity of a lifetime. I was so happy.
That was another reason I was disappointed, was I wanted to fight in front of Joe. And also
How could you not?
George St. Pierre, who is my idol from an MMA perspective, he was commentating that fight. And I thought it would be so cool if GSP was like announcing my fight.
So you were a fan?
Huge fan.
From when?
From, I don't know, from years ago when he was still active.
You used to watch, what were you watching back then?
I've been a UFC fan for years and years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, huge UFC fan.
Okay. How'd you get into that?
I think it's the most pure sport. Like, it's a pure contest. You can bring a different kind of discipline of martial arts. You've got grapplers, wrestlers, strikers, kickboxers. There's different ways to win. And it's ultimately a contest of, you need insane cardio, and it's a contest of determination, who can take the most punishment. I think MMA is the most pure athletic discipline that exists. And having now done some of it, my respect for these guys has skyrocketed. Because, like, a 2-minute round is hard. A 5-minute round, 5-minute rounds, that's unimaginable, the level of output. Unimaginable. Like, I literally cannot imagine it.
Yeah, it's also much harder when you have takedowns.
Yeah, of course, because you're sprawling. In my fight against Coty, the grappling exchanges totally gassed me out. I wasn't prepared for that.
Do you train those?
I did, actually. I trained some grappling. So I was learning to box. Primarily, I trained boxing. And then I got a different coach for all the supplementary MMA stuff.
Okay.
So in the space of like 3 or 4 months, I was trying to learn all these different disciplines at the same time. Muay Thai, boxing, MMA grappling.
How did the boxing go with like Muay Thai?
I mean, they don't go together. So like
So,
I would do one day boxing sparring, and the next day I would do Muay Thai, and it's a totally different mode. You know, it's
was that a good idea in retrospect, or
I had to learn it for Karate Combat, and
why?
Because Karate Combat's not just boxing, and like
Exactly.
the influencers.
I meant leave the boxing.
No, but I like boxing. That's like my
Okay.
primary discipline, and the influencer fights were almost always on the hands historically, right? I wanted to change that. I wanted to be the first IFC fighter that was like actually showed some technique. And I feel like I did in my first fight. Like I threw kicks.
It was it was over fast.
Yeah, it was 1 minute 20 seconds.
I don't think you didn't have that much time. I mean,
I know
you got him quick.
I can tell people this now because I don't know if I'll have another karate combat fight. We'll see. I drilled the question mark kick over and over. Like I think I showed you.
Yeah, I was impressed with it.
And I was like so ready to throw a question mark kick and have the announcers be like, "Wow, this crypto nerd can throw a question mark kick." But I didn't get to do that in a fight.
Yeah, I think the reason that the crypto fights are just mostly their hands because it's kind of what's effective. I mean,
well, and also like keeping your balance while you throw a kick, and
it's hard.
It's hard, and you know, the big risk is that they catch the kick and then take you down, and then it's just over. So you definitely need a more advanced level of training to be effective with the kicks.
Okay, so you're training boxing, you're training Muay Thai, you're training grappling. What kind of grappling are you doing for this?
We did pretty remedial grappling because there's no submissions in karate combat, as you know. But we were training ground and pound, both being the recipient of ground and pound and doing the grounding, the pounding, escapes. I trained some judo, like trips, takedowns, and a lot of like Muay Thai style takedowns, like catching a kick. I don't think Coty threw a kick in the end. I was so excited to potentially do a sweep, catch a kick and sweep the leg. I trained that a lot.
Sanchai.
I didn't get to do any of the fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
but it was crazy. I would do 3 different disciplines: boxing, kickboxing / Muay Thai, MMA, grappling, one day after the next.
And
rotate.
So boxing's your favorite?
It's the one that I would say I'm the best at.
Did you watch boxing when you were younger?
No, not at all. I don't follow the sport at all. I don't understand it. I don't even know how to get into boxing. I only watch UFC.
There's some good boxing though. Francis Ngannou had some good boxing.
Well, he's a UFC guy, but yeah, now he crossed over.
So you don't know about boxing, but you feel like you're the best at boxing?
Yeah, and I'm excited to show my skills.
Why do you feel like you're the best at boxing out of the...
Because boxing is very specialized. You know, like you only have to worry about the hands.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about kicks, about knees, about elbows.
Yeah.
So for MMA, you have to get a very broad and shallow base, I think. And then with boxing, obviously, there's a lot of complexity. It's very deep, but it's also narrow in a sense. And so now over the last few months, I've had the opportunity to specialize.
Okay. Before we jump into that one, because let's finish the Coty. How did you get hooked up with the Coty?
Coty works for one of my portfolio companies.
Oh, so you're beating up your investments.
People laughed about it.
He works for you. Wow.
Indirectly.
You pay his salary.
Very indirectly.
That's interesting.
So, I know. But what happened was I tweeted that I was looking for a new opponent after the Austin card.
Okay.
And he raised his hand.
Okay.
And we were the same size, roughly same build.
Yeah.
Same experience. I had a bit more experience than him because I'd been in camp at that point for 2 months. But, you know, we were both beginners, right? So I thought it was a good matchup.
Okay.
And also, like, I wanted to fight someone that I didn't know him before. But, you know, like, I wanted to fight someone that I sort of knew. Like, you'd much rather fight a known quantity than, like, a total stranger.
For sure. I think that it's definitely if you're a professional, like, it brings another level of intensity, I think, if you don't know them. So, like, it makes him, like, if you're a professional fighter, you fight someone you don't know, that's, like, way more than, like, okay, I know this guy. Like, there's a level of respect there.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I wanted an easy opponent. I did not want that. I wanted a tough opponent who was my level. And, you know, he cut a lot of weight, to his credit. He looked jacked, like lean. He had abs. Like, he did the work to get ready. I actually really like Coty. Like, I got the chance to spend time with him, and we have a lot in common. So hopefully, you know, we have a good relationship going forward.
Work for the same companies.
Yeah, and he works for one of my porcos.
So, I think that fight, it was, like you said, it was over fast. I think you stunned him. I I think that. Do you remember what happened? I don't really remember. Do you remember what happened? Like
At the time, I blacked out during the fight.
okay,
As in, like, I had no memory of the fight.
yeah,
I've watched the tape since.
Okay.
So I know what happened.
Okay.
So my coach came with me to Austin.
Yeah.
Or to Nashville. And
John
from
KO Zone.
Yeah.
Okay.
5th Street and KO Zone. So John is a character. He's an absolute character. Great coach.
He used to be at Gotham.
Yeah, he got banned from Gotham.
I know the whole story. I used to train at Gotham, then I moved to the KO Zone. It was a whole thing, but okay.
John is the man, though. Really an
Yeah.
incredible coach. And the minute before I went on, he's like, look, Nick, Cody's never been in there before.
Yeah.
He's not going to be prepared if you bring an enormous level of intensity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he doesn't have the composure that a professional would have.
Mm-hmm.
So we basically changed the fight plan with a minute to go. He's like, I need you to blitz him, get in his face, be super aggressive on the jab, and like, don't give him the chance to gain his composure, because the longer he's in the pit, the more comfortable he'll be. Don't let him get comfortable. So I'm like, oh, okay, new fight plan.
What was the flight plan go like before that?
It was to be a little bit more patient, to sit behind the jab, to keep my range, throw some head kicks, set up head kicks.
Question mark kick type thing.
Yeah, like start with kicks to the thigh, see if his hands drop, throw a head kick. Certain boxing combos that I can't talk about because I have a boxing match. But it was is to be more composed.
Sure.
And my cardio was good, so I thought I could last 3 rounds. And then we changed the plan, and it's like blitz, 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 all out. And if you watch the fight back,
That's what happened.
it was all out. And in the end, I landed a few good knees to the body. And in the end, I landed a liver shot right with a kick right to the liver that shut him down. And that was it. It was over in a minute, 20 seconds.
What made John change the plan?
I don't know. That's the magic of John Doe.
Yeah, I definitely remember you coming out fast, and I remember also I saw Coty like right after he came out, and he was like, "Whoa, I don't know what happened." I was just like, "Yeah, like I said, I think you just stunned him," and I think that was a good call by John, because it's not even that he was like super damaged. It was just
he wasn't.
It was just like so fast, and he's like, "What the hell is going on?" He just like froze, like you couldn't even react.
Yeah, and if you're new to the sport, which I was new as well, but if you're new and like you spar, if someone lands a ton of punches and combos on you, you freeze up. That's basically what happens. You don't necessarily have it drilled into your mind yet to throw back, which is what you have to do.
Yeah,
you have to match the intensity of the other guy. So it worked. And I don't think he was necessarily like, I don't think he hadn't trained. Like, I think he had done the work. It's just that I kind of gambled, actually. This is what people don't really understand. It's like you sometimes watch these fighters, and if you watch a UFC fight, fighters will come out super, super hot. They're gambling that they can get a finish in the first round. That was basically what I was doing in that fight. And if you don't get the finish, you're gassed.
Yeah.
So it's a risky strategy.
Were you getting tired there at the minute 20?
I was. Can you believe that?
I can believe it. Yeah, why not? It's tough.
I felt it in my legs, when your legs start to go dead. And I was like thinking to myself, my God, why am I tired? Like, I've sparred 10 rounds in a row before, but it's a different level of intensity. Yeah. The adrenaline dump, and you're swinging 100%. You're throwing it, and even when you're sparring, hard sparring, 70%. And also the grappling exchanges in that fight totally gassed me.
What was the grappling? You did some clinch?
He was clinching with me. He got a single leg takedown.
Got a takedown. I don't remember.
He got a couple. He landed a few takedowns. I managed to reverse some of them. The ref kept standing us up. I think he must have had some kind of high school wrestling or something, because he was actually quite effective with the grappling. And so I started panicking. I'm like, oh, I didn't train enough grappling. I got to end the fight, because he was being effective with the grappling exchanges.
Interesting. Okay. Got to get that jujitsu.
I know. So you train BJJ, right?
I did this morning, yeah.
Yeah?
It was great. Yeah, Marco, Adam Martial Arts, great guy. I've been doing it since maybe November, almost a year. And it's really fun. I'm definitely improved a lot. I can even feel it in just the rounds we did today, for sure.
And that's your primary discipline is BJJ.
Well, I also do some striking with Willie over there. Yeah, it's like Muay Thai style, kind of.
Muay Thai is my favorite.
Yeah,
yeah. I want to get back to it.
Elbows, knees.
The elbows scare me. I actually voted against the elbows proposition.
Oh,
the Karate Combat DAO held a vote. This is the other funny thing about Karate Combat.
Yeah,
the token holder governance influences the rules of the fight.
Yeah.
And they kept changing the rules as I was going through my training camp. So I would train for a certain thing. They'd be like, oh, actually now like thigh kicks are allowed. And like, you know, we're changing the ground and pound rules and stuff. And now they changed it now that you can throw elbows.
They just changed that. Yeah, I think
there was a token holder vote. It was close.
It was very close. It was the closest vote, I think, of like all the recent ones for sure. Of all of them.
I voted against it. I didn't realize that it doesn't apply to influencer fights.
I was going to say that it's only for the professionals.
I know, dude, because I probably wouldn't have signed up for it because
I get that 100%.
Elbow strikes, also you very rarely train in sparring for elbows because you actually have to put on like pads.
It's like an elbow pad, yeah.
Yeah, and so I wasn't prepared to deal with elbows. Terrifying.
Yeah. No, I've never done elbows in sparring. That's just on like the pads a little bit, but that's a different animal.
That's real Muay Thai.
That's real. Yeah, that's really nasty. But before so after Hoffman pulled out, there was an opponent for you that you turned down.
Yeah, there were like a half a dozen actually.
There's one specific one.
Who's that?
Who are you thinking of?
Hey there, didn't mean to interrupt my conversation with Nick, but just wanted to say thank you again to the Say community for sponsoring this episode. And also, if you wanted to get more content, behind the scenes, exclusive personalized videos, join the Hyper Sub. There's a link below. It's like a crypto Patreon, and you can support me directly. Anyway, back to Nick Carter.
I don't know. They offer me a bunch of names, and I send them to my coach, and he's like, Nick, these are like actual serious fighters. They're gonna kill you.
Well, bendavis.
Oh yeah, he's mad. He was mad at me.
You should have took that fight.
I told my coach I think I can take him.
Yeah.
And my coach showed it to like a few people, and they're like, no, this guy's gonna destroy Nick. But I honestly do think I could take him at this point. He's like had some impressive performances. Like I think he's had some amateur bouts now.
Yeah, now man, I think that would have been a really good fight. And I'm very curious what your coach was looking at that made you say, because the only fight that he did, he got KO'd by Anderson Silva's
Yeah, but he fought Anderson Silva's son, bro.
But he got destroyed. I mean, it was.
Yeah, but you have to be like pretty good to fight the son of one of the GOAT MMA fighters.
Do you though? Do you? He got KO'd.
He did get KO'd by Anderson Silva's son.
It wasn't like a fucking 12-round war. Shout out to bendavis though. He has.
I know he was mad.
Well,
now he's fought I think twice more since then.
Now he fought in Karate Cup. Now he's better.
He obliterated someone in KC.
Yes,
obliterated.
He did. Yes, he did really well. He's done in the past. He's done like a jiu-jitsu, like a submission grappling, and the guy broke his leg.
Broke Ben's leg?
Yes.
Oh.
But that was his like first fight. I don't know his whole.
So this guy's like a warrior. Man.
But now his next fight is bare knuckle.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. I'm like, thank God I didn't fight this guy. He's a savage.
This guy's a savage. Yeah.
No, seriously. Bare knuckle is terrifying.
I don't know how he signed. I mean, he's really got balls to do that.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. He's built different.
I would not, but that's not. That's just. So he's got a bigger dog.
Yeah, dude. Like I'm a crypto nerd at heart. At the end of the day,
all of a sudden you're falling back on that.
I'm just a humble crypto nerd.
What happened to the I got the dog in me?
I have a dog, but I don't think it's bendavis size.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but look, I'll admit, Casey did offer me a flurry of opponents after Hoffman pulled out, And at that point, I was like, no, I wanted Hoffman. Like, that was what I agreed to
I
do.
know, I get that.
And we were at the same starting point. Then they were offering me guys that had like half a dozen fights and stuff. It's like,
No. No. I get why you wouldn't do that. That doesn't make sense, especially on short notice.
yeah, like with a week to go, you know?
No. All right, so you finish Hoffman. Doesn't even enter the ring. You finish him. Maybe we'll come back. Maybe you'll have another fight at some point. But so you finish Coty, and now you got something else. Now you're deep into boxing. How did you get involved with CFN?
Yeah, well, CFN was the first crypto fights that I ever watched.
Okay.
Was Loomdart versus Luke Martin.
Okay.
In CFN. And I was like, wow, these guys like actually trained up for
Yeah.
it. Like, I was really, really impressed.
Yeah.
I was like, these guys are traders. They did the work. They looked good. They had hands. That was a while back. Watching that inspired me, dude. And I was like, that's going to be me one day.
Okay.
I'm going to do that.
Okay.
And then Ansem fought in CFN, fought Barney. Didn't go well. And
That was the top.
after Casey, I was like, I want to fight again. Because beating Coty, I've literally never felt that good in my life. Like, you know, I've had some accomplishments and things like that. That was the most euphoric, best feeling I've ever experienced by a lot. And so I was like, okay, I got to do another fight. But I was still the small gloves in karate combat, 4-ounce gloves, and the, you know, you're fighting with no headgear, no shin pads. There's kicks, there's knees. It is honestly pretty scary. I'm not going to lie. I'd, you know, sitting there in the locker room while these guys went and fought and came back, some of them would be like dragged back into the locker room, like, you know, the professionals, like completely busted up, or like they just got knocked out. They're like all woozy. I'm like, ugh, because that was the last fight. So it was like watching these guys come back in over the course of the night, like all messed up. I'm like, oh, this is what awaits. This is my fate. And so Casey, it still does scare me, the rule set. I went in there knowing that there's a good chance that I could be knocked out because there's a high knockout probability in KC. And so for my next fight, I want to do 14-ounce gloves, boxing. I consider that safer. And
Really?
even though in boxing you do sustain more, you know, head damage or like brain damage.
Yeah.
I'm not like becoming a full-time boxer or anything.
Yeah.
Like I need my brain. But I did think there was a lower knockout probability, and I have to work this quarter. I can't like be knocked out. So I mean, we'll see what happens. So I wanted a boxing match. CFN reached out. I was familiar with the promotion. They offered me Hedged Hog, and he had fought Loomdart, and he beat Loomdart.
Yeah.
I thought Loomdart was technically better in that fight, but Hedged Hog had more of a dog in him. If you watch the fight back,
More of the hog in him.
he had a hog. He had that hog in him, and he was coming forward relentlessly. Like he was very aggressive. He got the decision win, and I thought it was a great opponent. And he also wanted to fight at 155. My first fight was 165, so I actually have to drop a considerable amount of weight. But I kind of like the idea. Fighting a lighter opponent is also safer in a sense. Or like there's just a slightly lower risk of knockout. So I agreed.
For a guy who's getting ready to get punched in the face, you're really trying to minimize your risk a lot.
No, I mean, I don't think anyone would look at my lifestyle and be like, that's a guy that's risk averse. You know, like I climb mountains, I ride a motorcycle, I do combat sports. But you want to manage the risks. And I thought boxing would be obviously entertaining, fun. It's my primary discipline. And I think there's a lower probability of a knockout with the 14-ounce gloves. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to knock out Hedged Hog for sure. It can happen, but it happens less in CFN if you watch it.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. But and you see in KC, it's like, what's the knockout rate in KC? Like 60%.
I don't know.
It's really high.
I didn't realize it was that big of a difference.
4-ounce gloves versus 14-ounce. Huge difference.
It's. I feel like it's. If you're someone who just trains MMA and then you try to go into boxing, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, because boxing is far more technical.
It's much more. If you want to be, if you're starting from zero, and you want to be a boxing champion, versus you want to be an MMA champion, it's way easier, I think, to be an MMA champion.
Yeah, I mean, MMA guys, it's like you have a broad skill set across a number of disciplines. You try and put it together.
Mm-hmm.
Boxing is like you have to be born with those gloves on, and you have to box every single day. Because this is what I'm learning. The amount of depth in boxing is incredible.
What do you mean depth?
Just like learning the foot movement, like the footwork, the intellectual side of the game. Like it really is a thinking man's game. It may not seem like it, but the amount of muscle memory you need and the amount of cognitive work that you have to do to like get a sense of like, okay, I'm throwing a feint. This is how he reacts to the feint. So I should throw a feint and then this combo. I should try and get him to throw this punch so that I can step this way. And like, I believe that it's a much more cerebral sport than pure MMA. I mean, maybe not at my level, which is obviously very low level amateur, but even so, there's a lot of thinking.
There's a lot of thinking, and you're much more limited in your weapons and your tools. And just to, for me, I definitely want to add. I'd want kicks. I'd like the kick. I think that adds for me, makes it a little safer.
And that's my strongest weapon. Is the kicks.
Yeah.
I was a soccer player growing up.
Okay.
The kicks came very naturally to me, and I do think that's actually my best weapon. But you know, I signed up for the boxing match, so.
But fuck it.
Yeah.
We're here to bang, bro. Well, good luck with that one. And that's going to be at...
That's on the 19th September at the Marina Bay Sands. So Karate Combat's the 18th. CFN's the 19th.
Very exciting. Very exciting. I think I'm going to be out of there by... I'm not going to go.
Yeah. I'm going to try to show up to Casey, though.
Okay.
I'm also keynoting on the 19th. So.
Oh. What's the topic?
Stablecoins.
That's your favorite topic?
Yeah.
In crypto?
Yeah, we're publishing a report on stablecoins on the 12th. So we commissioned this whole survey of stablecoin usage in emerging markets.
You want to give me a little preview?
Yeah, I mean, look, we went to India, Indonesia, Nigeria, Turkey, and Brazil.
Okay.
And we went to existing crypto users, so it wasn't the general population. And we asked them, how are you using stablecoins? Like, are you just using it for crypto? Or are you doing cross-border payments? Is it for payroll?
Okay.
Like, we know that people use stablecoins in these countries, but we don't know how. No one has ever gathered this data before.
Okay.
And we went and we did that.
So, yeah, break that down for me. What is that? Who went there?
Well, I didn't personally go to these countries.
Yeah, I figure you've been boxing.
I was busy. No, we hired YouGov, the pollster, to do it. They're pretty much the best ones. Okay. And we interviewed 2,500 people, give or take.
So you say we want to find people who use cryptocurrency, right? And they just source the people for you, and then they just give them a list of questions?
Yeah, they have all these panelists. So they sign up to be like YouGov interviewees. And then we translated it all into the local languages. And this is data, and we even asked them like what kind of blockchains you use, what wallets do you use, what do you think of these different stable coins, like how often do you transact, like all of this stuff. And we got this incredibly rich data set that really elucidates how stable coins are penetrating into the real world, which is what I wanted to show. Because that's always the conversation about stable coins. Like in Washington, policymakers would be like, oh, it's just for crypto people. Like, you know, no one real uses stable coins. Like, it's not a real financial instrument. You know, you might have all these trillions of volume, but it's just exchanges and traders. But that's not true. It's ordinary people are using it to make their lives better. So that's why we commissioned the study, to get some real data on that.
So who's using it? What are they using it for?
Well, believe it or not, somewhat unsurprisingly, the number one thing is still access to the crypto economy, of course. But the number two thing is currency substitution. So in those 5 countries, in Nigeria, you have a high level of inflation. Same in Turkey, and then in some of the other countries in the sample, like you don't have access to dollar banking at all.
Yeah.
So stablecoins are a substitute for dollar banking for individuals across any part of the income spectrum. So like if you're an elite, maybe you do have access to physical dollars or a US bank account, but ordinary people don't. And so the number one thing is inflation protection. I mean, this is obvious, but it's nice to see it expressed in the data. Income, converting your income into dollars, saving in dollars, earning yield, not like a sketchy, scammy yield, but like earning the T-bill rate or earning a yield in DeFi. These are
yield or whatever.
Yeah, so like these are things that were just unobtainable for these people previously. And I think it's very significant. Like I think you're going to see episodes of crypto dollarization in these countries where the local currency is, substituted across the whole population spontaneously and dollarization occurs. So to me, it's very exciting, but it also has some of these governments worried. Like Nigeria is very worried. That's why they arrested the Binance executive, Tigran Gambaryan. And they've been illegally, in my opinion, detaining him for months and months now because they held Binance responsible for the inflation in the Naira, which I think is a stretch. But you can see they're worried about it.
What is that based on, that claim?
Well, I don't know how causal it is that, crypto is very popular in Nigeria. Of the 5 countries I mentioned, Nigeria is by far has the highest crypto affinity, by far. So Nigerians love crypto. They love stable coins.
What does that mean? Like, what percentage of Nigerians use crypto?
Well, we don't know exactly because we didn't do a general population survey. But I would estimate at least 10-15%.
That's a lot.
And so they're very active. They use it for payroll. They use it for cross-border transactions because Nigeria is not that well integrated into the global banking system. They use it for trade settlement, settling payments for import goods from China, for instance. So that would be settled in Tether terms.
In dollars?
Yeah.
Like China?
Yeah. There's Tether is by far the largest stablecoin. Tether is becoming this unofficial currency that intermediates trade flows. So we see that. And they're using it for yield opportunities. Like otherwise, how would a Nigerian get access to like U.S. Treasury bills? It would be impossible.
What the app is giving you yield for U.S. Treasury?
Well, there's like certain interest-bearing stables. Like we're investors in Mountain Protocol, for instance. They do that. You just hold the stablecoin, you automatically get.
So people are buying this Mountain, and they're just and then they're settling in the Mountain.
Well, you just USD. Automatically, if you hold it in your wallet, you just get the yield.
Right, but I'm just saying, then they pay people with that.
I mean, that Mountain is still emerging, but there's Athena as well, which earns yield in a different way. There's actually a handful of these stablecoins that now have native interest provision in them, as opposed to Tether or USDC that don't pay any yield.
Got you. Okay, so you're not saying that they're actually investing in Treasury, but they're maybe getting the benefit through some sort of. You don't necessarily do it directly, but there's.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same outcome in the end.
For
you're
sure.
Earning 5%.
For sure. So, and they're onboarding via Binance?
Well, Binance is big, although Binance is under threat in Nigeria, for instance. There's other exchanges, like, for instance, we're investors in Yellow Card. They're active in all these African countries.
Yellow Card?
Yeah.
And is there anything unique about them?
They're just, like, the biggest African exchange.
Okay.
But, yeah, I mean, like, all these exchanges are active. A lot of the times in the real emerging frontier markets, it's peer-to-peer markets. So there will be either they're using Binance P2P or they're just part of a Telegram group or a WhatsApp group where you go and you have local currency and you exchange it for stable coins.
And they meet up?
Yeah, in many cases. So it's like the money changers and the Hawala networks now offer the service of stable coins. So even if the government bans the centralized exchange, people find a way to get access. The cat is totally out of the bag.
Why do you think they don't like it?
I mean, I guess they would prefer to have the naira in the case of Nigeria, or the Turkish lira in the case of Turkey, to be the dominant and sole currency of the land. So you're stripping some of the monetary discretion away from these central banks, which of course they don't like.
Right. I mean, wouldn't they like that there's more commerce in their country?
Yeah, so that's the flip side. Is like you are, in the case of remittances or international payments, which can be very expensive, you can actually create lots of local savings for your end users if they're using stable coins, because, like, I don't know if credit networks are very popular in Nigeria, but you know, if the legacy payment networks are very extractive, if commerce moves on to stable coins, more wealth is staying locally. And if, generally speaking, finance becomes less frictional, I think it's better for the local population. So I think my pitch to those governments would be, there's actually a strong consumer welfare angle here, and these people are being better integrated into the global economy. It's probably good for GDP growth overall.
Yeah, it's fantastic because they get a built-in, out-of-the-box financial infrastructure that they didn't have to build. They could just plug into a global network.
Yeah, so there are some cases where individuals at the local level have been doing currency substitution, and then so much of that occurs that the government's like, okay, we're going to dollarize. So we will actually get rid of our official currency and just follow the lead of the people. So there was a famous case in Ecuador in 2000 or 2001 where there was high inflation, and I think it was called the sucre, the local currency. There was high inflation. People were spontaneously dollarizing with physical cash, like physical dollar bills. And the government's like, okay, fine, we admit defeat, we're going to dollarize. So that's called popular dollarization. So that is one thing that I think will happen, is that there'll be so much stablecoin driven dollarization that the government will eventually realize, okay, fine, we'll switch to a dollar standard. We'll give you what you want. Inflation will go away. We'll be better integrated into the dollar-based system. Things will be more stable from a macroeconomic perspective, and it's clearly what the people want. So I think we're going to see crypto dollarization happen in the next decade.
Hopefully in Nigeria.
I think that would be interesting. That's probably the best candidate for it.
Yeah, I saw that video of that guy. Well, I don't know what was wrong with him, but the Binance executive, he was like
Tigran.
limping and he couldn't even walk, and he was like really upset about.
I mean, he's been unlawfully detained for like 6 months. He was lured there for like a meeting with the regulators, and they just imprisoned him. The other guy that they also imprisoned at the same time escaped, and then Tigran was left, and then he caught malaria, I think. He's clearly not being held in good conditions. And basically Nigeria took him hostage as a bargaining chip relative to Binance. And
What do they want to pay out from Binance? What is that?
Yeah, presumably.
What?
Yeah.
That's what?
I know, the whole thing is really messed up. And the US government and Tigran was a former special agent who had served the US very well, actually prosecuting crypto illicit finance. And so he is a decorated former federal agent, and now he's rotting in like prison in Nigeria, and the US is using no diplomatic tools to extricate him because he works for Binance. Meanwhile, like, you have a WNBA player that goes to Russia, gets imprisoned. We exchange this arms dealer, this warlord for her. Brittany Griner. We exchanged the guy that the movie Lord of War with Nicolas Cage was based on, this guy. And now we have this like guy, Tigran, who's in prison in Nigeria, and no one in the government has done anything about it because he's a crypto guy.
The government doesn't like crypto.
And they're willing to let, political hostage shaking occur if it's a Binance executive.
That's they just want to pay out.
It
Like,
seems
what?
so,
How much money they want for this guy?
I guess more than Binance is willing to pay.
Is this a normal thing? They just taking like I've never heard of an employee of Apple just getting held hostage. Some like what?
The whole thing's very unfortunate.
That is bizarre. That is bizarre. Okay. So you commissioned the study. What do you use the data for?
Not really for directing investments because, we don't take like a macro view like that. We just try to meet the best founders. So it's just a public service that we want to provide. Obviously, we benefit if people in Washington read this and write reasonable stablecoin legislation into law. So that's the objective. It's like I want people in DC to read the paper, realize, oh, dollar stablecoins are actually great for America, and they're good for the global South, for emerging markets. They're just overall good and positive developments. So we want to, repudiate the myths that exist around stablecoins, which is that they're only used for crypto stuff, which is not true. So that's why we did the paper.
What about the central CBDC, the central bank digital currency? What is that all about?
I think CBDCs are becoming a failed experiment. Like, so many nations have had these CBDC pilot programs, and so few have worked, with a couple exceptions. Like, I guess you could argue that in China, there's a digital yuan, but really, I think it's still the private payment networks that are dominating. And in the case of CBDCs that have been deployed in production, they haven't succeeded. So the government would have to force their adoption. Like, I was in the Bahamas recently. Do you know they have a CBDC in the Bahamas? Have you been?
Yeah.
So nobody was using the Bahamian sand dollar.
Right, they use just dollars. What?
Yeah, and I went around because I'm a weird nerd, and I was asking people, have you heard of the sand dollar? It's a central bank digital currency, which is officially deployed in your country. And people are like, no, what are you talking about? I asked 50 people, how do I get my hands on a Bahamian sand dollar?
You said you weren't going around doing the work, and look at you.
I know, I did.
On the ground in the Bahamas.
I did some field work, and mostly everyone thought I was insane.
But they had no idea what you're talking about.
And that's because the rollout of the CBDC was a flop.
Yeah.
And in the U.S., there's no prospect of a CBDC, thankfully. And I think it would be a terrible thing to give the government that amount of power.
What does that? Why? What does that mean? Why?
It would be think about it would be like a stable coin where instead of the issuers Tether or Circle, it's the U.S. government, and of course they would have insight into every transaction. With the way that stable coins work, Tether doesn't really know what's happening on those P2P transactions on the blockchain. They may try and intuit what's happening, and yeah, they have the ability to freeze and seize, and they do that occasionally. But with a government scheme, every transaction would be fully surveilled, presumably. And that's not how it works with cash. We could make a physical cash transaction, and we don't have any obligation to notify anyone. So that's the issue with the CBDC is I'm very skeptical that any Western government would create a truly cash-like digital scheme whereby there's actual privacy and autonomy. Would the government really create a digital version of cash that's actually private? Of course not. If they're going to go to the effort to make such a thing real, they're clearly going to embed KYC and AML into the system. And I think that'd be terrible. Cash is very useful because it's fairly private, and the transactions are instant, they settle finally, they're frictionless, etc. So I just don't believe that any Western government would actually create a truly private form of cash digitally.
Yeah, especially with all they sue every crypto company.
Right.
It seems like they hate crypto. I don't.
And look at what they're doing to banks. In the U.S., if you are a crypto firm, it's very hard to get banking, right? There's a specific policy in place that, they hand it down through the banking regulators. the FDIC and the Fed will go to banks and say, yeah, you have to cap the amount of crypto clients you have. Like, you can't really do that much crypto stuff. So what they're doing is they're using financial infrastructure of the country, which ought to be a neutral service, and they are prohibiting a kind of behavior, which is like they're disallowing crypto transactions from occurring.
Mm-hmm.
They are using the banks to suppress the crypto industry. So if they're going to do that, don't you think they would create all these political prohibitions on what you can do with the CBDC? You know, they would suddenly be very interested in your personal transactions. And that's an amount of power that we should not give the government, because they're already abusing their influence over financial rails. Of course, it would be worse with the CBDC.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, the government doesn't like. They don't like crypto.
Not at all.
Gary's serving everyone with the wells.
Yeah.
Wells here, wells there, wells everywhere. It's kind of a shame. And I was like thinking back at it, the things that excited me in crypto. Like I was like excited about Pool Together when I first got into crypto.
Yeah.
And I got sued for the stupidest.
That one was particularly bad too.
That was so stupid.
Because the guy that sued them was like, he like worked for Elizabeth Warren or something, and he deposited $10 on the platform, and then he sued them. That one was ridiculous.
Like because the transaction fee was higher.
It was some ridiculous thing.
And it just made me like, but now like thinking back, like, but then on the other hand, the Uniswap like settlement came out today.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that bad.
I don't know if that's the end of it though.
Do you think there's more?
Probably.
Oh, it's like continual.
I mean, they probably just have more ammo against Uniswap, if I was to guess.
So is this attitude gonna change at any point, or?
It really depends on the election. Like, I think it is very binary.
Uh-huh.
I know everyone says, oh, you know, the left is warming up to crypto, like Harris maybe is pro-crypto. I think that's incredibly unlikely. And I think, I don't wish it was this. I wish it was different. But it seems to be the case that a Trump victory is clearly very good for crypto. A Harris victory is either unchanged or worse. Like, I don't see how things would get better under, like, a fairly progressive administration. Progressives just fundamentally don't like crypto. And that's not going to change. So it really does come down to November.
Yeah, and Trump is launching like a DeFi some coin project.
I know, it's like astonishing. It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make sense.
Because we know that Trump already likes crypto.
Yeah.
He said it in a speech. It's in the official Republican platform being pro-crypto. He spoke at the Bitcoin convention. He has an NFT project.
Yeah.
He holds Ether. J.D. Vance holds Bitcoin. Vivek Ramaswamy is clearly influential in the Trump camp. He's spoken at crypto conferences. There's no doubt about Trump's support for crypto. And now letting his inner circle release a reskin of a DeFi project that was hacked recently with a token and potentially like a token sale as well. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. There's only risks and there's no upside in doing it. So why would they do that before the election? It's completely crazy behavior.
Mm.
And it gives so much ammo to the haters and the no-coiners and the press. It's just like a very bad move by the Trump campaign. So I'm not connected with them at all, but if any of them want to reach out, I would love to explain why it's a bad idea. This thing, I can almost guarantee will be hacked because, like, let's say you're, you know, a Harris fan and you don't like Trump, like, and you're a great hacker. Of course you would go after Trump's DeFi protocol. It'd be the biggest target in all of DeFi immediately. So it's probably going to be hacked, and then it would be negative headlines right before the election. It just has the potential to be this huge embarrassment and a scandal. And I don't understand why he's doing it. Just focus on winning the election, for God's sakes.
Yeah, and then especially after the last NFT, he did an NFT drop, and then the next day, OpenSea got sued.
Yeah,
by the SEC. Was that, you think that was tied?
Maybe, but like, yeah, the SEC would immediately have. Let's say they did a token sale. Of course, the SEC is going to go after them.
Yeah.
Like, so Trump needs to just restrain his inner circle and like stop them from profiteering on the Trump name for 1 second, and focus on campaigning. Like, why would he let them do this? And also, I think it's Eric Trump that's the main ringleader of this thing. If you're so confident you're going to win, why are you cashing in on the Trump name ahead of the election? Like, it betrays a certain weakness, don't you think? To me, it looks like Eric Trump is aware of the crypto industry's newfound affinity for Trump himself, and he's trying to cash in on that before the election while we're still in the honeymoon phase with Trump. And it's almost like he's trying to hedge by doing it now, as opposed to after the election when Trump, let's say if he loses, he no longer has anything to offer to the crypto industry, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like he's showing no confidence at all in Trump's ability to win.
It's interesting you say it like that. I mean, it could just be like an even bigger signal that he likes crypto. But yeah, I understand. It's like a huge risk, especially if they do a pre-sale.
Yeah, and also, are these political people the right people to launch a DeFi protocol? Like, do they have the talent? Are they, these cracked smart contract developers? Like, of course not. So, why would they think that they would succeed in launching a new protocol? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. So you're not aping in WorldFi?
Yeah,
whatever.
What is it? World Financial?
World Liberty Financial?
What a bad name, too.
What would you name it?
I mean, if it were me, I would, and I was adamant on doing some crypto thing, I would do like a very boring, like a real estate backed token or something. Like something that's relevant to
real world assets.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
If I'm Dr. Trump himself, I'm doing something that is relevant to my expertise and my business knowledge.
Well, he knows about money.
But what does he know about DeFi yield aggregation? No. Come on.
No. I mean, but I just could imagine they put they tokenize a Trump hotel or something, and then like
exactly they should do that.
Yeah.
If you're really intent on for what I don't know why you would want to. If you really want to get into crypto, do like the world's most boring real estate backed token and call it a day.
Well, they want to make money.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. The whole thing's crazy.
So you're not a big Kamala fan?
No, certainly not. No, it's not a secret.
I'm disturbed by some of the things, to be honest.
It's very disturbing that she's even in contention. Like, the only things we know about her platform are, like, she wants to raise capital gains tax. She potentially wants to tax unrealized gains, which is
insane.
A completely lunatic idea. It's like...
It doesn't even make sense.
Something that would happen in Argentina or Zimbabwe. And she wants to set price caps on certain goods. Like, these are socialist policies.
Unrealized capital gains tax means you can't own anything.
Yeah, it means if you're an entrepreneur and you start a company and you raise money, now you owe money based on the new valuation, and you have to immediately sell the company because you don't have the cash in hand to pay the tax. I mean, it just makes commerce impossible. It makes venture capital impossible.
And you can't hold fiat because that's getting inflated. You can't invest it because you have the tax.
I mean, it's like if you buy a house, the value of the house goes up because your neighbor sells his house for more. Now you owe money based on that. You don't have the cash. Like, an unrealized capital gain is just like a contradiction in terms.
Like, I don't even understand how this is like... How is this even a conversation that, like, this is, like, what they want? I don't get it. Like, this is what they want?
This is what I'm saying. Like, it betrays, like, a complete ignorance of how capitalism works. And, I get it. Like, okay, you may not like unrestrained capitalism, whatever, but this kind of stuff, you just, like, tossing a bomb into the way that securities markets work. And it would completely destroy capital formation in this country. It can't be a serious policy. Like, even if she wins, there has to be some advisor to be like, okay, actually, yeah, that unrealized capital.
Why would they even say that, though? Why would they, like, it's, like, so crazy that, like, if people understood it, if people understood it and they wanted to grow, there's just no way that they could vote for that. It's just like
No.
impossible. Like you just can't.
I don't think they understand it. I think they are just they're decoding that as like billionaires bad. It's like, okay, yeah, okay, billionaires bad. But the actual substance of the policy is like beyond crazy. And I cannot believe it's in the conversation in this country.
Yeah, it's fucked up. It's really fucked up. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
And like I get you may not like Trump. Like I didn't particularly like him either. Like I actually was in favor of DeSantis in the primaries. I think he would have been a far better candidate. But I don't even see there as being a choice. And this isn't just even a crypto thing. It's not like, oh, crypto bro is talking his book. He wants crypto to exist. Whatever. Like I'll be fine, you know? This is about American capitalism. It's much, much bigger than crypto. It's a hostility to the entrepreneurs and the businesses that make this country succeed. And it's crazy that we would have this turn that, you know, to basically criminalize wealth creation. That's crazy to me.
And the VP, he owns nothing and he's happy.
Yeah, Tim Walz. Yeah, he just owns a pension, I guess.
Yeah, he gets his teacher pension, his like Social Security.
Yeah, he's pulling in like 3 pensions, like teacher, military, for his 24 years of service. Yeah, no, owns no financial assets.
That's just weird.
Bizarre.
How could yeah, for him it makes sense. Yeah, unrealized capital gains doesn't matter to him. He still gets his welfare
He gets the
check.
pension. Yeah.
Doesn't literally no skin in the game.
Right. I mean, and both Harris and Waltz have like virtually no private sector experience. None, I would say. So yeah, maybe it tracks. Like for them, they've just always been on the government dole their whole careers. So capitalism is just a totally abstract concept to them.
Bizarre, dude. Bizarre. Like you can't like if unrealized capital gains is like you need to move.
Yeah, of course.
You can't live here.
I mean, that's a lot of the
You can't live here. What?
The idea that there's a venture capital for Kamala or VCs for Harris community is the craziest thing I've ever encountered in my life. Like, who are the VCs for Harris?
Cuban seems to be all in.
But it's like, of course they know what they're smart enough to know what would happen if.
Yeah, I don't get that. How doesn't
if you hike the capital gains rate? First of all, that makes entrepreneurship less likely to occur.
Mm-hmm.
If you tax unrealized capital gains, the gears of private markets grind to a halt. Like there will be no startup events in this country. So who are these VCs for Harris? It absolutely beggars belief.
Is that a big thing, VCs for Harris?
Yeah, there's like a whole group of them. There's like an email list, and there are some actual VCs that support her. It's like suicidal.
Bizarre. Is this a mind virus? What is what is going on here?
I think it's people that live in San Francisco or Portland, and you know, if they were known to be voting for Trump, they would be immediately kicked out of the parent-teacher association, and you know, they would get glares at little league soccer practice. I think that's it. Is people want to protect their social milieu, so they have to vote for the anointed, you know, progressive icon.
I really believe that. I believe that most people want growth. Is that crazy to say?
Some people resent it.
Some people, I'm saying, but I think in America, most people. What time is it?
3 almost.
3 almost? What, are we running out?
Nice. That's still good.
Till what time? Till 3?
Until 4.
I believe that most... You don't think that... I think that there's definitely people that don't... That are small. That want to take from other people. But I don't think that's most people.
I think a lot of people, especially young people that feel like they're not participating in the economy, do see it as a zero-sum game as opposed to a positive-sum game, which is what it is. And for them, they feel a great sense of resentment because maybe buying a home is out of their reach. Maybe the economy hasn't been good to them. So they are in favor of redistribution without realizing that high tax rates and, a large government is not conducive to the growth of an economy.
I went my first day in econ class. I was in Israel, Herzliya. I sat down, and this woman, she was the dean of Harvard Economics, and she says, in 2008, Obama saved America, bailing out the banks. I'm like, what? What's going on here? So after, in the break, I went up to her, and I'm like, oh, you ever heard of Chicago economics? Keynes, She didn't know what I was talking about.
Really?
She had no idea. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? So people just don't understand. How could they understand? If you're being taught at school that Obama saved America and there's literally no downside.
Yeah. You know who wrote the economics textbook that I first learned economics from?
Obama. Who?
Paul Krugman.
Like, why is this guy who said literally the internet is what, a fad? What did he say?
Yeah, I mean, worse than that. He has some of the worst takes of anyone I've ever encountered. But it's people like that that are setting the agenda for economics. Economics is partisan. It's not really a science. It's like a set of norms and values of like how resources should be arranged in society. People think of it as an objective thing, but it's not at all. It's like mainstream economics is just, this normative thing that encourages like a grossly inflated government, high levels of tax, inflation, etc.
Where did you learn about this?
Well, those textbooks I read them in high school because I did AP Econ.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did economics in undergrad in St. Andrews in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually dropped out of econ and did philosophy instead.
Why?
Because I just hated it. And then that was funny because like now, all I do is like read about economics and like I work in finance. So it's kind of funny that I bombed out of econ in undergrad.
No, it's not. It makes total sense because they probably didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah, I hate it. I hated it.
Oh my God, it's terrible. And it's like, I was watching my peers, right? And they're like taking notes, right? They're like, yeah, Obama, 2008. I'm like, wait, hold on. There's another side to the story over here.
Right.
But most people, they don't care about economics.
No, of course not.
It's the driest topic of all time. Right?
And like, look at Harris's like price fixing, like, oh, like the big grocery chains are like inflating the price of eggs or whatever. Like we have to fix the price of eggs.
Yeah.
Like obviously, if you're familiar with how these things work, that causes shortages, right? So like, but most people aren't. So they just like, oh yeah, the price of eggs being fixed sounds great,
Yeah, she wants to like legislate morality in a way. Because she's like, for every 1% differential that a man makes at the same job that a woman makes, you're going to be taxed 1%. That's what she said. It's just not how it works, right? Like it's...
Yeah, I mean, look, the free market has to clear.
The free people don't believe in the free market.
Don't get me on record defending the gender pay gap, though. That's
You're on the pay gap?
no, that's too dangerous for me to say on a podcast.
You can't say anything about that?
I think there's good explanations for why it exists.
Okay, what?
Well, women have children
Yeah.
in their, most productive professional years.
Yeah.
And so they don't necessarily stay in their careers as long. Maybe they don't work as many hours. I think when you adjust for those things, like the pay gap mostly disappears.
So you want to do 1% differential tax?
No.
You're not. You don't want.
Also, men like tend to work maybe more dangerous jobs that maybe pay better.
Yeah,
you know?
VC is super dangerous, dude.
Very hazardous.
Going into those meetings
In the trenches.
in the trenches, looking at decks.
I mean, hey, look,
Those decks are deadly, dude.
10 back-to-back Zoom calls on a Tuesday.
If you don't drink enough water.
Put me in the mines. Send me to the coal mines instead.
So wait, what are you most excited about at work?
I mean, the sectors I like at the moment, stablecoins is one, and I like it because, we've been doing this crypto nonsense for I've been in it for 7 years full time, longer part time, and there's been so much vaporware and just total stuff that has no impact on the real world. For me, stablecoins replacing correspondent banking and being the new substrate for fintech actually influences people's lives for the better.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something where I actually feel really aligned and proud of what I'm doing as opposed to ashamed. So that I like. The other thing I really like...
Just on that, because like I said, I was super excited about things like Pool Together, which Pool Together is a very simple idea. It's like a no-loss lottery, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you're talking about, right? Financial backing of... But I feel like a lot of these apps, they just got sued and they got destroyed for no reason.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that is the sad thing, is a lot of DeFi stuff is genuinely very useful, but it's effectively prohibited in the U.S.
It's prohibited to make an app.
Or use it. I mean, you
I
have
guess
to use a
use
VPN if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to use Polymarket, you have to use a VPN.
Oh my God, why?
Right, because the CFTC just doesn't like prediction markets.
But you can just YOLO call options on NVIDIA all day, every day.
Yeah, there's no consistency. It's not going to make sense if you try and make sense of it. But yeah, it is very, very sad that DeFi is de facto banned in the U.S. And it is. And the CFTC and the SEC will just methodically sue every entrepreneur that's building anything useful. They'll keep doing it.
And that's why I'm all in on World Liberty Fi, okay?
Maybe it'll work and I'll have to eat my words.
I hope to God it will work, but why do they need a token?
The same reason everybody else needs a token.
There's no reason for that.
Well, it's to buy a house in Nantucket, of course.
Oh,
That's
man. They could have done such a nice airdrop. Imagine
No.
the Trump airdrop.
I think the team is keeping 70% of the supply. That was what
Are you
was
serious?
Yeah, the details that are coming out in the reporting are disturbing. World Liberty Financial. What a name.
World Liberty Financial sounds like Enron, E Corp. You know what I mean? Like evil.
What's the name of the band? Have you seen the movie Step Brothers?
Yeah.
What are they called? International Worldwide or something?
I don't remember.
It's just it's the most generic name you could possibly think of.
I'm surprised it's not Trump coin.
Yeah, put Trump's name on it. That's what he does.
That's the only thing he does.
Yeah.
it's his signature move.
World Liberty Financial.
Yeah, so it's banned. So I asked you what you were excited about, then I said everything is banned. But is there any apps that you do feel are actually in that direction?
Well, I really like prediction markets.
Okay.
I think we get a very good informational quality because people that have information are highly motivated now to express that information into the price by trading. And they didn't have the ability to do that before, so it creates new data streams. They give us real information on real probabilities. That is very interesting. I wish that U.S. individuals could use it. But we still benefit from the existence of these things because even if it's French people trading on Polymarket, we're still getting those real-time probabilities, which is cool. And, I mean, leaving DeFi aside, the other sector I'm excited about is, Bitcoin Season 2, the Bitcoin Renaissance, whatever you want to call it.
The Bitcoin Renaissance.
Yeah,
Satoshi's vision.
The moderates taking over Bitcoin,
Yeah.
as opposed to the hardcore people.
Yeah, it's a big transition in the last
2 years, yeah. And Bitcoin becoming more integrated with the rest of the crypto economy.
especially with the ordinals, that was a big turning point.
That was key. Credit to the Taproot Wizards, Udi and Eric. You did good. and Casey, of course. And L2s on Bitcoin, finally emerging, roll-ups on Bitcoin. That's another thing I'm really fired up about.
Was that new one Corn?
Corn, yeah.
Is that like... Yeah, tell me why what's...
Corn I don't know as
not
much
corn,
about.
Not corn, but just in general.
But yeah, like, I think if you go back to the Bitcoin mailing list, Gregory Maxwell was talking about roll-ups in 2013. And the Bitcoin idea at that time was we're going to take the best technology from elsewhere and we'll incorporate it into Bitcoin eventually. But we didn't do that. In 2017, when the small blockers won the block size war, they just decided to do Lightning. And Lightning didn't work. Like, it didn't achieve the scale that we thought it would, because it ended up being very complex and hard to use and had all sorts of UX challenges. But for 5 years, we maniacally pursued Lightning as the sole scaling mechanism. Meanwhile, Ethereum was doing all these different experiments. Sharding, plasma, Raiden, rollups. Like, all of these different things, rollups ended up working really well, right? So they were perfected on Ethereum, or at least vastly improved. Now what we ought to do is take this superior technology and incorporate it into Bitcoin. So that's the idea behind Bitcoin Season 2. Make Ethereum benefit, allow Bitcoin to benefit from the innovations that have been demonstrated on other blockchains. So hopefully we'll have roll-ups on Bitcoin by the end of the year. I think that'd be great.
You want some water? Can we get some water?
Yeah. I also probably have to run at the half hour because I have to go to the urgent care. So
Your pinky toe hurts?
yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
We'll wrap it up with a couple minutes here. But so what does the so what projects are building that? What you just said? What you just mentioned?
Well, there's a whole bunch. I mean, we're investors in Bob, build on Bitcoin.
Bob, yeah.
They are.
I did the Spice thing when they had like a stake drop or whatever they call it.
So they are hopefully an optimistic roll up on Bitcoin using BitVM. We'll see. There is Citria, another one. There is Alpin Labs. They're building a ZK roll up on Bitcoin. Then you have Babylon, which is different. Babylon is Bitcoin restaking, and the idea of Babylon is that you would have other blockchain networks that are maybe proof of stake. They can inherit Bitcoin security from the superior proof of work security. If these networks are lacking security or settlement assurances, they can use Bitcoin that is staked to defend themselves. So
Everyone wants to sell restaking these days.
Yeah.
Is this a thing?
I think in the case of Babylon, it's a valuable commodity that you're selling, which is Bitcoin's proof of work security,
Right.
which in my opinion is far superior to the proof of stake model.
Yeah, I'd like to see some restaking in action other than
Yeah, I mean, it's still pretty
bullshit.
There's been an overabundance of restaking.
There's
for sure.
way too much restaking and nothing staked.
Well, yeah, because the whole point of crypto is to take a good idea and take it way too far.
Is that the point of crypto?
That's the point.
So what does the UX on like Bob look like? It's just in MetaMask or?
Yeah, Bob would be EVM compatible.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd, in theory, they're going to launch mainnet soon. You'd, in theory, be able to utilize the same infrastructure that's been built for ETH, and you'd be transacting with Bitcoin.
And is it really more secure, or is that just?
I mean, Bob, I don't know if they were saying it's more secure, but it's a way to transact Bitcoin more efficiently than using Bitcoin mainnet.
Do you know the architecture a little bit, or should I not ask you?
The architecture is changing.
Because, you have wrapped Bitcoin,
Yeah.
you have native Bitcoin. Those are two different things. right? One's in the custody, one's not. What is this L2 doing?
Well, in theory, you would have a wrapped Bitcoin that you could freely transact on the roll-up.
But you're not talking about WBTC.
No, because WBTC is custodial. You have to trust BitGo, and
Right.
now Justin Sun apparently
Doesn't.
as the intermediary. I think didn't BitGo sell wrapped Bitcoin to maybe Justin Sun or a business that is rumored to be controlled by him? Anyway, the point is
Something is sus is happening over there.
you're trusting central third party.
Yeah,
You may not want to do that
definitely not.
in theory, and we will see what happens with something like Bob. You could transact freely on the roll-up in a highly scalable manner with Bitcoin that's locked in the Bob chain and settle it back to Bitcoin mainnet if you wanted to without taking on that kind of custodial risk. So, like WBTC on steroids. That'd be the idea.
So there would be no custodian, but how would but there would be there would have to be like a bridge or something.
Well, let's say everything works out with BitVM,
Mm-hmm.
which is the main technological thrust, then it's like more like a typical roll-up that you'd have on Ethereum, where you're locking some coins in the contract, and then you get like a derivative of that coin,
Mm-hmm.
and then potentially there's an element of fraud proofs. But we're still figuring out how to best do fraud proofs on Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still technological challenges there.
And the gas token is
I actually don't know if there's a gas token contemplated.
how do you do transactions?
I suppose you could have abstraction as well. You wouldn't necessarily need to use a gas token, but
Free?
I don't know, actually.
Nah.
The design is malleable. Maybe I should know these things. We led the round.
I asked you.
I know.
Do you know the
I don't know all of the technical
I mean,
details.
the gas token. I thought you would know that one for sure, bro. Come on, that
We're
was
gonna-
low.
We're going to find out together.
Because I mean, it's not gonna be ETH,
Probably not ETH.
not
Probably
Gwei,
not ETH.
it's not AVAX.
Maybe it will be. Maybe they'll use AVAX.
All right. So you like stable coins, you like some DeFi, you like some Bitcoin L2s. Any other categories?
I feel like that's all the categories.
That's all that's it.
Okay, well, let's say the stuff I don't like. Metaverse. I don't think anyone likes Metaverse anymore.
Zuckerberg likes it.
Crypto gaming. Has there ever been a good
Axie.
crypto game? Was Axie a fun game?
Pyongyang liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was good for stealing money from like rice farmers.
Kim Jong-un loves Axie, dude.
Axie, I have a huge problem with because we like persuaded a bunch of like Filipinos to play it, and then
Okay.
like Americans, Westerners would like buy up these like Axie farms and then rent them out
Yeah.
to like Axie players.
Was
in
that
the
part of your
Philippines.
stablecoin survey or?
Yeah, we didn't ask them about that. Like, how mad are you? Or how mad are you at the Axie people? And like, it felt like digital sharecropping to me.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, all right, I'm gonna buy the cartoon characters. What were they like?
What were they?
Well, I'm trying to
Axies,
remember.
no?
Were they Axies?
I think so.
I'm gonna buy the little cartoon character, and then I'm gonna lease it to you, and then you're gonna play the game
Yeah.
for 12 hours a day,
Yeah.
because it's like you can earn more money playing Axie than the local income.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna get 60% of the. It's like, that is terrible.
You're not bullish on that though?
I mean, I think it failed.
Work to earn?
Does anyone still play Axie?
Yeah, but that's...
Was it a fun game? I didn't play it. You tell me.
I don't think
Did you
so.
find it fun?
I never played. I have no idea.
This is what I'm saying. There's never been a
I
good
have no
blockchain
idea.
game.
I have no idea. But should I show my investment bag?
Yeah.
Flappy Bird is coming back soon as
Is
like a
there
crypto
crypto?
game, but but it's like two separate apps. So they're launching. They bought the actual IP to Flappy Bird,
Okay.
and they're launching
Good.
a Web 2 version on the App Store of Flappy Bird. But there's like a way that like they have like a boot. It's not bootleg. It's just like a side-loaded version. That's all crypto stuff. So if you want to unlock the stuff you get in the web 2, you have to like download the side-loaded version. So
Okay.
I think that could be cool.
I think there's some interesting stuff. There's some interesting gamified crypto stuff. Like, for instance, I personally did this moonwalk deal, which is like,
Oh, Moonwalk, yeah.
so like, I think there's interesting things
That's
there.
doing steps, right?
Yeah, like I don't exactly know how it works. Like
Right.
you get,
What's the gas token?
yeah, you get paid to do steps, or
You remember stepping?
yeah,
And you breathe your shoes.
those were the days, man. Some of this stuff is nonsense, but like probably there'll be some interesting. Like I think DEPIN is interesting.
What does that even mean? Honestly, I don't. I'm too afraid to ask.
Decentralized physical infrastructure networks. Okay, does that clear it up for you? DEPIN is like using the magic of crypto. You know, you can pay for your cell phone bill, and you know, let me rephrase that.
What's the gas token to pay for your cell phone bill?
Using DEPIN, we can get cell phone coverage in Miami with helium.
Right.
I think the idea is that you would
Also with Verizon.
also with Verizon, also with Verizon. The DEPIN concept is like you incentivize the emergence of a physical network of devices doing
With the token.
something with the token, and in theory become self-sustaining. I think that can work.
Okay.
Helium seems to be doing well.
Yeah, it exists. I've never used it.
Like there were Ponzi-nomics with helium.
Yeah, that's how
true.
it started. I mean, people made a lot of money at the beginning.
And somehow it emerged from the Ponzi, collapsed, destroyed a lot of value.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's working. I think it's working.
Have you used it?
No,
Okay. It's
but
not a portfolio.
we can get coverage in Miami with helium, so that must mean it's working, right?
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I mean, we can wrap it up here pretty soon. But I want to ask you, what are your hobbies outside of crypto? Fighting? Are you watching any TV? You like podcasts? You like books? What do you?
I read. Yeah, I read a lot
Okay.
of books right now. I'm reading Nate Silver's new book.
Okay.
Nate Silver,
You're
he's
really
a
into
crypto
polling,
bro
huh?
like us now. He likes crypto.
Is he?
Yeah, he works for Polymarket or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he crossed over.
So what's his book about?
It's about like how to take risk. It's like profiles of risk takers across, you know, different areas, like, you know, poker and crypto
Mhm.
and venture and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading a book about the history of Christianity right now
Mhm.
called Dominion,
Mm-hmm.
which is quite interesting. Honestly, the truth is around my hobbies is I had a lot of hobbies,
Mm-hmm.
and then when I started fighting, I had to quit everything
Mm-hmm.
because that requires that I be here and that I train 6 days a week. So I don't have time or energy to do anything else.
Yeah.
But I used to have all these exciting, fun hobbies, and now I don't anymore because I just fight all the time.
Okay.
It's very sad.
Yeah, but you said that was the best feeling you ever had, so
I know, but we'll see how much longer my body can take it. I would guess not that much longer, frankly.
are you a big Christian?
Yeah. Yeah, I go to VU Church here in Miami.
What is that?
VU is like an evangelical church.
Okay.
It's the popular one with the kids. We have a celebrity pastor, Pastor Rich.
Okay.
He married Kim and Kanye.
Okay.
And technically it's Pentecostal. So I grew up going to an Episcopal church, which is like very like ordinary, reserved Protestant.
Mm-hmm.
And VU is much more engaged and, well, it's evangelical.
Hallelujah.
Exactly. People like talk back to the pastor but I mean, I don't talk about it that much because it like makes people really emotional and like they get upset and things like that.
About Christianity?
Well, just religion in general, of course.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, so I don't really, it's not part of my public discourse.
Mm.
You know, the parasocial relationship I have with my followers, like that doesn't come into it very much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a Christian. It's a very important part of my life. And I don't think I would have been able to do the boxing without it, frankly. Like, I think you need some spiritual strength in order to do something really hard like that.
Yeah, a lot of guys are. Josh Quayhagen, he's a KC champ. I don't remember what weight class, but yeah, very religious.
I think the fighters are disproportionately religious, for sure.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot. I noticed that a lot because you got to draw strength from somewhere.
Yeah, it's true. I think it really helps the spiritual element, without a doubt.
So in my building, I wanted to put there's Jews. Okay. They
Well,
wanted to
because
put-
you're in North Beach, right?
Yeah, Bell Harbor. They wanted to put up a sukkah.
Okay.
You know what that is?
No.
Sukkot is like it's like a temporary structure. You put like it's to remind you of the Jews going in the desert. They were traveling, temporary structure. So you build for 7 days. You build a temporary structure like outside. You put some leaves to cover it. You put like temporary walls, like a canvas around.
Yeah.
So we wanted to put one in the building. Okay. Now, my wife was kind of representing the Jews who wanted to get this done. And she went to one of the board members. She started talking to him about it. And he said that because there's a Christmas tree that goes up. My wife's like, well, they have a Christmas tree. We can have some other.
Sure.
And they said that the Christmas tree there was not Christian.
Well, I guess it was a pagan symbol first.
Yeah.
And then the Christians co-opted it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it literally has the word Christ in it.
Yeah, so they were saying it's not a Christian thing, it's a popular thing, like a pop culture thing. And then they're like, oh, sukkah is liability. I'm feeling a lot of anti-Semitism these days, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's everywhere.
It's in New York, it was really, really bad.
Even in New York.
In New York, it was really bad.
And Miami is also a very Jewish area, too.
It was much less in Miami, but that really bothered my wife. She had a really tough time with that.
I bet. It does feel like a double standard.
Yeah, it's like, wait, what?
And it's something that I said when I did Odd Lots, I think in 2022, and I was talking about the schism I had with the maxis, the Bitcoin maxis, because I have this low-grade civil war running against the Bitcoin maxis at all time.
Yeah.
They hate me and I hate them.
Yeah,
it's great. I said that hardcore Bitcoiners are very anti-Semitic as a group, disproportionately so. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? Like, you made that up. But it's totally true. And there's a lot of anti-Semitic conspiracies for some reason within the Bitcoin maxi cohort.
Probably just extreme, right?
There's something about it, and it's very surprising. And of course, anti-Semitism has become a much bigger problem in this country in recent months and years. Like a shocking problem. Like it's a huge part of the political discourse now. And the left is embracing it in some cases. And we have all these like protests on elite college campuses that are like pro-Hamas protests. Like I couldn't believe that shit. Excuse me. But one thing has always surprised me is this strange infatuation that certain elements of the Bitcoin maxi community have for being anti-Semitic. And it makes no sense. Like, why would there be any connection? I don't understand it.
Conspiracy? Like they're conspiratorial.
Yes.
Bitcoin maxis are very conspiratorial. They have to be, especially at the beginning, you got to be a little conspiracy to get into Bitcoin.
Yeah, and then there's like the Federal Reserve conspiracies and like the Elders of Zion, and it's like this mindset. The Rothschilds. It's like this mindset that there's like elites controlling everything, and they're Jewish elites.
The globalists, the Zionists.
These beliefs are like clustered and correlated.
It's definitely, yes. I just listened to a podcast. It was so bad, so anti-Semitic. I was like, it's a podcast that I like listening to, Danny Jones. And his guest was, oh my God, it was so bad. It was so bad.
I thought you were going to talk about the Martyr Made Tucker Carlson.
Oh my God, Martyr Made. Oh my God. Then I looked up Martyr Made. They're like, Martyr Made is the best podcaster. What's his #1 episode? The real truth behind the Zionist project. I'm like, holy shit. I'm
Yeah.
like, holy shit! It makes me so uncomfortable. By the way, that this guy's a white dude, right?
I'd followed him. I didn't even realize that he was like a World War II revisionist guy.
But like, it's so weird that this guy is like writing about a region, like that region, in this way.
Right.
It's bizarre. It's like, what the fuck, dude? Yeah,
I
but
know.
that was no. I don't listen to that guy. That guy's weird.
You know what's crazy? Because when 10/7 happened, I went on Twitter immediately. I'm like, this is wrong. Or
Yeah.
I must have said it more vociferously, right?
Yeah.
I got put on all these lists
Oh.
of like VCs that don't support the Palestinian cause.
Oh.
I'm like,
I mean,
okay.
VCs for Harris.
VCs for Harris, VCs for Israel. It's like, first of all, we have a lot of Israeli founders in our portfolio.
Yeah.
We even thought about opening up a Tel Aviv office.
Mm-hmm.
That's how much business we do in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, just even for business reasons, forget the morality of it, I'm going to be favorable to the Israeli cause. Secondly, there's no moral opacity here. It's obviously abundantly clear that 10/7 was this awful thing and that Israel was entitled to defend itself.
It was allowed to happen by Netanyahu and his war dogs.
Right. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know enough about domestic Israeli politics, but yeah. And somehow just by making a very plain statement about this, like, I was now accused of being Islamophobic.
Rough.
Not that I'm like the victim in all this, but like we all were forced to take sides. I thought that was absolutely insane. And now, I'm on all these lists. So Palestinian founders, I guess they're not going to reach out to me.
I mean, why not? They wanted a Palestinian stablecoin.
Yeah. Go for it.
Go for it. Although Binance got blacklisted, all the Palestinians.
I saw that.
Not good.
I saw that. The American left was mad about Binance. That was interesting. Because you don't think of them as crypto users.
Yeah, I don't know. But
Anyway.
I want to leave us. Give us a positive note. Give us something you're looking forward to, something you're excited about.
Well, like, I think all eyes are on the election.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very binary. So I'm holding my breath. I think everyone in crypto is.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, this year has demonstrated, without a doubt, that we have penetrated, we've crossed the chasm, and we've reached actual meaningful mainstream adoption in certain corners of the crypto market. Specifically stablecoins, which are changing the game and are making people's lives better, but also things like prediction markets. So even though a lot of people are bored with crypto or the quiet quitting, a lot of funds are closing down. People are like, oh, we're going to flee the U.S. if Harris wins, whatever. For the first time ever, I feel like we really definitively achieved something very important. And in a sense, we did what we set out to do. There's a lot of work to be done still, but I feel the best I've ever felt about it. So no matter what happens in the election, I think that we won, basically.
All right, Nick, thank you very much for taking the time. I respect you a lot. The fight in karate combat, that was a big deal. You've done a lot of work in cryptocurrency, and thanks for hanging out today.
Come see me September 19, Marina Bay Sands. First round, KO. KOing the hog.
How many rounds do you have?
4, up to 4.
And how many minutes?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Damn, okay.
Could be
I
8
don't
minutes.
think, really, you're going to knock him out in 2 in just a hands.
First or second round.
You just said there was less knockouts. Okay, I'm not going to give you a hard time about this. Nick, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
See you next
Gabe.
time, man.